Greetings and welcome to another Pokemon 2023 or Pokemon Horizons the Series anime episode review. This time I am talking about episode 35, so let's get to it. In this episode, Friede announces that the Rising Boat Tacklers need money since their coffers have run dry. Orla, Molly, and Mordog decide to offer their expertise for a price. They task Dot, who already has a steady source of income from her videos, with making promotional videos for their services. Liko and Roy offer to do anything they can do to help, but Friede tells them that students should focus on studying. Which is exactly what Liko does next. She attends class remotely, where she introduces Athena to Anne. The teacher ends up assigning them to write a report on a trainer and Pokemon they admire who have an ideal bond. Liko decides to write about Captain Pikachu and Friede, who reveals that he got a job from a friend of his to find a missing Pokemon. Liko and Roy choose to tag along. They meet up with Friede's friend Shine at a Wild West-style saloon. Fittingly for the setting, the Pokemon Shine needs them to find is the tumbleweed Pokemon Bramblin, who was blown away by a gust of wind. Shine, whose job is to keep an eye out for Pokemon hunters in the area, is worried about Bramblin, since there have been reports of recent hunter activity, and he warns Friede and the company to be on the lookout. So they begin their search for Bramblin, which bears fruit almost instantly, though Bramblin is soon once again blown away by a gust of wind, forcing Liko and the company to chase after it. While they run as fast as they cannot catch up to Bramblin, who leads them to a group of Rhyhorn that are not too happy to see them. Outrunning the Rhyhorn makes them lose sight of Bramblin. They soon stumble upon a sign that points to both the desert and an oasis. Since Bramblin dislike water, Friede concludes that it must have gone to the desert. But Captain Pikachu disagrees. This makes them get into an argument, revealing, much to Liko's surprise, that they don't always see eye to eye. However, it turns out that they are both wrong, since Bramblin is hanging out on a tree above them. Though not for long, so the chase is on again. Bramblin ends up blending into a bunch of actual tumbleweed, which complicates things. Liko and company do their best to find it, which proves to be a tall order. Liko does catch a brief glimpse of it, but she is distracted by Terapagos falling out of her backpack, so Bramblin manages to slip away. It keeps going and going, carried by the wind, until some Pokemon hunters see it rolling and they hating. The hunters take Bramblin back to their fellow hunters and their leader, a young lady that just wants cute Pokemon. She is disappointed by the Pokemon they currently have, since she does not consider them cute, including Bramblin despite the headhunter's best attempts to convince her otherwise. Meanwhile, Liko and the company ask around a nearby town hoping to find any clues regarding Bramblin's whereabouts. Two girls soon stumble upon Captain Pikachu, who they call cute since he is a Pikachu with a hat. This makes Cap sneeze uncontrollably. Friede reveals that Cap is allergic to being called cute, which is a peculiar ailment. Probably not a good idea to be a Pikachu with a hat if you have such a weakness. As they keep searching for Bramblin, Friede teases Cap for what happened, which hilariously backfires on him. This makes Liko wonder if they really have an ideal bond. They soon stumble upon some hunters as they capture more Pokemon. They mention Bramblin, which makes Friede confront them, hoping to get answers. After successfully retrieving information from them and subduing them, Friede calls Shine to let him know what's going on. Friede and company then proceed to find the other hunters and they demand to have Bramblin back. Predictably, the hunters refuse, which leads to a battle. They send out a Mudsdale, a Toxtricity, and an Omastar, who are no match for Cap. He even questionably Thunder Punches Mudsdale. However, the tide of battle soon turns when the leader of the hunters says that Cap is cute, which triggers his allergies, preventing him from fighting back properly. While Sprigatito and Fuecoco step in to help, they cannot tip the scales back in their favor. Seeing how dire the situation is, Bramblin tries to break free using Power Whip, though it's not strong enough to break the cage. In response to this, the leader of the hunters sends out her Abalog. Definitely not the first Pokemon that comes to mind when I think of cuteness. Abalog uses Blizzard to keep Bramblin and the other Pokemon at bay, while also using them as hostages to prevent Friede and company from fighting back. However, Friede realizes that Bramblin glows like it's about to evolve. He then makes eye contact with Cap. Friede says that the only way for them to win is to power through, but Cap disagrees, so they get into another argument. This makes Liko question their ideal bond even more. Unable to come to an agreement, Cap runs off on his own, and Friede just gives up, leaving the rest to Liko and Roy. Sprigatito and Fuecoco fight back as best they can. Just as everyone is distracted, Cap appears out of nowhere to incapacitate Abalog with Thunder Punch. With the Custodian out, Friede has Bramblin use Rapid Spin to bounce around the cage. This allows it to evolve into Bramblegast. This makes it strong enough to break through the cage. Friede reveals to Liko and Roy that Bramblin evolves after moving around a lot. So although rolling it did throughout the episode is what allowed it to evolve. This is true to the games. He also reveals that he noticed that Bramblin was ready to evolve, so he concocted a plan with Cap on the spot to allow this to happen, meaning that they really do have an ideal bond, since all they need is a glance to understand each other. With the tide now favoring them, Cap makes quick work of the hunter's Pokemon with Thunder Punch, even taking a page out of Ash's Pikachu since it defeats a ground type with an electric type move via a loophole. With the crisis resolved, the episode cuts to the airship. Liko presents her report on Friede and Cap to the rest of the class. She says that their courage and the bond they share inspire and motivate her greatly. As she gives her report, we see that Bramblegast was successfully reunited with Shine, that Friede was paid handsomely for a job well done, and that the hunters were arrested. The episode ends with Liko concluding her report by saying that she wishes to be like Friede and Cap one day. So that's the short but detailed summary of the episode. Now it's time to highlight, analyze, and comment on my favorite moments and or moments that are noteworthy/interesting. Obviously, I don't have to point out that this episode was nothing to go crazy about, especially after a 2-week break. That's not to say it was bad per se, it's just that it was your standard run-of-the-mill Pokemon anime episode, so there isn't much to say about it. Yes, it was funny. Friede and Cap butting heads, and Cap's unique allergy made sure of this. Additionally, the episode had some action. As a fan of westerns, I liked the aesthetic and the setting. It was cool to see Bramblin and Bramblegast in the anime for the first time, and we got to see further evidence of how strong of a bond Friede and Cap have. Therefore, this episode was still enjoyable despite it being unspectacular. But those are my thoughts on and analysis of the episode. now it's time to bring this review to a close by going over my overall opinion of the episode. So, overall, this episode was alright. It certainly broke no new ground. It provided no value to the story and little value to the characters. But it was still entertaining, which at the end of the day is a big part of the reason why we watch the show. Therefore, you can't really hate episodes like this. But that's the review and the video. So, as always, leave your own thoughts down in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and would like to see more like it, then please consider subscribing to my channel. I love Pokemon and I love making videos on both the anime and the games. Also, please consider clicking the links on screen so that you can check out more videos like this one right away. Additionally, down in the description I have affiliate links for GameStop, which is where I buy all my gaming related stuff, and a link to my Buy Me a Coffee page. These links will allow you to support me directly if you would like to. I would very much appreciate it. Also, I have a link to my second channel where I cover Resident Evil. If this is something that would interest you, then please check said channel out. Thank you so very much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.